starting our trip to Edmonton. Woo! All started. We're like halfway to Edmonton. Not even.
We just passed Wandering River.
Did we?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, no,
What does
we
this
just
say?
passed it.
Brainat?
Brainat?
I don't know what that is, but we pass it every time. So this is our shopping family trip vlog, I guess.
Nice.
Book shopping. So it is the afternoon on Friday, our first full day here in Edmonton. The 3 kids and my husband are out swimming at the pool here in the hotel. And now I am reading, or I just started reading the other day, Peace and Turmoil, The Dark Shores, Book 1 by Elliot Brooks. I follow her on BookTube as well, and I'll link her down below. She reads a lot of fantasy, and this is fantasy. I don't read fantasy very often, like at all, but I wanted to support her and ordered this book. It is from the States. I think it's coming from Arizona, and this book was not expensive. It was $15.99 American. I think it was around $20 Canadian, and I wanted to buy it. And when I went to go to shipping, it was $50, and I'm like, I want to support you, but I'm not spending $70 on a book that isn't even in my typical genre. And my in-laws have a place in Arizona, and I looked, and shipping was like $5. So if you're in Canada and you want to try out, I think, independently published fantasy author, and you're in Canada, try and get it. If you have somebody in the States, get it sent there. Who, like, my in-laws, they're snowbirds. They go down for the winter and come back for the summer. So they were bringing it up. They didn't have to spend like $50 to mail it to me. Anyways, this is the book I'm into right now. As I read a little bit more into it, I'm a little bit not confused. It's not confusing to read, but like I said, I don't read a lot of fantasy, so I'm just getting into the world building and stuff and figuring all that stuff out right now. After our cat went this morning, my husband took the cat to get fixed, so he is at the vet right now. And I want to go shopping at Michael's, which is the craft store here, which we don't have back home. And I want to go to PetSmart. We have a lot of pet places in Fort McMurray, but they didn't have what I was looking for there. I want to get her a new collar, Peaches a new collar, and dog dish and stuff like that. And I want to go to Chapters eventually. Chapters will allow us to have the dog in the store with them. So that is cool. It is like 12:30 now. So I told the kids they could go swimming for like an hour. So when they come back, he smushed banana all over my shirt. Just ignore that. When they get back from swimming, we will go for lunch and go shopping. And yeah, that's it. I'm just gonna get back into this. Isn't this pretty? I love the purple, like, I don't even know what you call that. Well, I guess in the book they talk about auras and auras having colors and stuff. Auroras, not auras, but kind of that idea of, but I'm guessing that's what an aurora is, but it's so pretty. Anyways, I'm gonna dive back into this, and I will catch up with you when we go shopping. For your hamster? These animals have a better setup than I have in my own house. It is so bright and sunny, I thought I'd have a little bit of better light. Anyways, my book, I'm still reading. I'm hoping to get to 100 pages before we head back home. It's got a little picture of a snake here. I'm on page 73 now. It is Saturday today. We met my friend and her daughter for their music class. We got to join today. That was really fun with my baby, and then my other daughter came and helped out, and it was great. And now baby's sleeping, and my husband's coming back down from the hotel room with the dog, and let the dog go to the bathroom, bring the baby back upstairs. I gotta go to the bathroom really bad myself. We stopped for a coffee. I got myself a dirty chai from a local place called Remedy. Then I think the kids are gonna go play at the pool or do something with my husband while I go to Goodwill and do some thrift store shopping. So excited about that. So I am on page 92 now, so I should be able to get to page 100 by the time we go back home tomorrow. I believe we are leaving here finally. Not finally, but just a bunch of stuff going on with our van that's really frustrating and annoying. Anyways, this is why I don't read fantasy books, because of all the political stuff. I can't keep up with politics in my own country in the real world. Never mind politics in a fantasy setting with people and places that aren't real and I have no context for. So far, it's not bad. I don't want to say like it's slow. I'm not even 100 pages in, so it's just like setting up stuff, but not a whole lot has happened just yet. But we are getting some political things happening. I am curious to see what's going to happen in the next 600 pages. How many? There's like a character list. Aha. But this is like 714 pages long. Yes. 714 pages, and I'm on 92. So the next like 600 plus pages. I'm curious to see what's going to happen in them. And this is only book 1 too, so I don't know like how it's going to end. Obviously, I don't know how it's going to end, but like I don't know if it's wrapped up there or if it's like a cliffhanger or what's going to happen, but we'll see. We've run into a fiend so far, and it is a snake with 7 tails. So there was that fight, so that was kind of cool. And I'm just waiting for my husband to switch over. We have a rental van, but we're getting like a different rental van because they don't work on weekends to fix our van. And my husband has to go back to work on Monday. The kids are supposed to go to school and stuff, but like we could stay longer, but we can't afford to have my husband out of work right now and have to pay like another night or 2 at a hotel and everything like that. So we're getting a different van. And then we're going to stop at West Edmonton Mall for a little bit and pick up a friend and go for dinner. So that's the plan so far. I'm excited to do my book haul of what I got while I was at Goodwill. I got some good books from there, no clothes or anything else. I always say like the minimalistic lifestyle. We're not trying to be minimalists, but just being more intentional with the purchases that we are making and the things that we're bringing into our house and getting rid of more and more stuff. We did a big cleanup after the baby was born. A friend of mine is like, I want to help you like clean your house. That was like her gift to us. So her and her boyfriend came over and helped like scrub the floors and clean the bathrooms and do like a big cleanup. And him and my husband we pulled like everything out of the storage room and rearranged everything, and they got rid of like bags and bags and bags of garbage. So that felt just so good to get rid of all that stuff. So that was just a little over a year ago, or about a year now. So that just felt really good to clean up that stuff, and we've been slowly going through more of that stuff. My husband, his job right now is in construction, so he keeps getting like laid off when the job is done. So he had a couple of weeks off at Christmas, and then he went back early because there was like some kind of like emergency job that had to get done. And then he just got laid off again like a week ago. So he's had a little bit of time off, but now he's back doing like a part-time job thing, and his work is all over the place right now. But having those few extra days off has been good, and we've been going through things like through our books. I got rid of a bunch of yarn stuff. I went through all my cross-stitching stuff and got rid of a bunch of thread. always going through clothes is a big one for us. And we just went through all of our DVDs and Blu-ray discs. And I'm going through my crafting stuff. Just everything. We're just doing... Oh, board games is the big one that we don't get a chance to play a lot of board games in person. And we have a lot from like 10, 15 years ago that are just not really relevant to what we want to play anymore. So yeah, it's been good and nice to be able to just clear things out and not have as much inventory in our house. And being able to just have less to manage, so it's easier to manage and keep things clean and stuff like that. And been watching The Minimalist Mom and Clutterbug and stuff, and that's been really motivating and stuff as well. So yeah, just like thrift shopping and stuff, I still enjoy it, I still like it, but just trying to be more intentional with what we are bringing into the house and what we can handle right now. My husband should be back soon, and we're gonna go to the mall. Okay, so I am back from Edmonton, like 2 weeks ago, and then dealing with the car stuff. My husband and I drove back home Sunday with all the kids and everything like that. He went back to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Thursday night, by 9 p.m., we were leaving town to drive 5 hours south to crash at a hotel at like 1:30 in the morning, and then get up and get our van back, do a little bit of shopping, had lunch with a friend, had some good conversation, and headed back home again. It's so frustrating having to live 5 hours away from all major resources, I guess. Like my friend, her daughter's been having some health issues and they need to go into the children's hospital, which is also south, 5 hours away. Our kids are off school all this week. Coming up, today is Sunday, and then they have the whole week off school, so like 9 days. And then she's got 2 daughters. They're going to go back to school for like a day, and then they have to take like 3 days off to go to Edmonton for this specialized appointment for her daughter. So it's so frustrating because you can't always book it. Like if she could have booked it this week, that would have been better, right? But you got to go when the specialist is open. So very, very frustrating. But we did get to have some fun. Got to see a friend. Got to see a couple of friends while we were in Edmonton. So that was good. I am still reading, as I was reading that weekend, but I did get to page 100 of The Peace and Turmoil by Elliot Brooks. So I read up to part 2, which is finished page 217. The author does these like sketches as well. It's so beautiful. Like, that's stunning. This is good. It's not my typical read, so it's taking me a little bit more to get into it, but I've put it to the side lately to focus on a few other things that I'm trying to read. I listened to Finley Donovan Jumps the Gun for the Literally Dead Book Club. And the buzzword this month is also verbs, so action words, I guess, and jump would be a verb. So there's that one. And then I was listening to The Long Walk by Stephen King. That was just a mess, but walk. And then I was also, or am currently reading We Need to Talk About Kevin. So talk, I believe, is a verb. It's been a while since I was in school, but my kids are doing all this stuff too now, so I'm like getting back into it. And my kids are really enjoying doing Mad Libs. So it's like, give us an adjective, give us a verb, give us an adverb, give us a noun. So I'm constantly learning my grammar and English language arts again. So that's been interesting. Anyways, I've just had a lot of books on the go. I just finished listening to Nana this morning by Brandon Massey and watched the live show book discussion from the Book Troop, Gabby's book club, the Book Troop. So that one was really interesting as well. So I finished that book this morning. So I've just had a lot going. So I've put this one, I knew this one wouldn't be like a super quick read, and I could have focused on it during the week and just read this and had it done. But it's been good. I might need a little refresher. So I'm just going to take my time with this. Anyways, that was the book I was reading for our Edmonton trip. And then I just wanted to close out this little mini trip vlog shopping thing with me with all the books I got. So I'm very excited to jump into these and tell you what I got. On our second trip to Edmonton, we were in the hotel for like maybe 8 hours and then went shopping, and we went to Value Village. The night before my husband and I went to Edmonton, I was listening to Jesse the Reader. They just changed their name. Hopefully I got that right. But Jesse, anyways, it used to be Bow Ties and Books. They have since changed their name. But they have a couple of videos. The 2 videos they have are books that they love but cannot ethically recommend these books because of like problematic authors, problematic themes in it, whatever reason that they loved these books but can't broadly or ethically recommend these. And then they just put out a video, I guess, today talking about books to read instead. Like, if you want this story, read this book. It's done better, or the author is just a better person. But they were talking about the Hannibal Lecter series, and specifically Silence of the Lambs, and why that book and movie is not great, and it has to do with, like, transgender things, because if you don't know, the serial killer in that, Buffalo Bill, I believe, he would, like, wear women's skin. So that's not really a great representation of... It's not... I don't think... See, I don't know. I watched Silence of the Lambs when I was, like, 13. So probably... Or 12. Probably just a little too young to be watching that kind of stuff. And I haven't seen it since then. So it's been a couple decades. So... I don't know, like, if Buffalo Bill wanted to be a woman, if he was transgender, or what that was, or if he was just a serial killer with this weird tick that he liked to cut women open and wear their skin. I don't know what the representation is on that, but obviously it's not great. And I would go to transgendered people for those kind of reviews to know if it's good or not. But those kind of stories interest me, like serial killer stories. And Jesse was talking about this... I think it's a trilogy, and Silence of the Lambs is like the third one, and they were saying like the first ones were still good and could recommend those ones, but not Silence of the Lambs specifically. But in the trilogy, you meet Hannibal Lecter, who's a cannibal, and they mentioned the first book being Red Dragon by Thomas Harris, and I was walking through Value Village looking at the book section, mostly at kid stuff, and this popped out at me, and I was like, I'm getting it. I have to get it, even though... They don't recommend the third one. This one was still okay. I'm not sure about the Thomas Harris himself, but this is from the author of Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal. So this is the first one. Meet Hannibal Lecter for the first time. If this is any good, I would like to continue in the story, but just going in knowing the problematic nature of it helps. Puts a different lens on what you are reading. And this is from 1981, so it's from a different time as well. Got this book. And these books and things like this, like Dexter, fascinate me. So I have no idea when I will get into this, but hopefully it was $3.49. So if it's not good or I don't get to it for a while, that's okay. But I just thought it was funny because I hadn't even finished listening or watching that video by Jesse when we had to leave. So I didn't even have a chance to finish watching the video, and then I found this at Value Village. As I said, I was also there looking through the kids section because my kids love graphic novels, and you don't find a lot of graphic novels at these thrift stores. Maybe more at used bookstores, but not as much at thrift stores yet. So I've been looking for... Because graphic novels are kind of expensive as well. So I've been just keeping an eye out for it. But my daughters weren't with us on the second trip. We just went... We got rid of our 3 kids and dog and just took the baby with us. So I didn't have my daughter there to know what she has and has not yet read. And she does get a lot of stuff from the library. But she loves the Babysitters Club. So I found this. And because it was only $1.99, I was like, I'm going to get this for her so she can see what we had growing up, and I never really got into the Babysitters Club. I maybe read one or two, but it wasn't like big for me. So this is from 1991, so it's 32 years old. And I showed it to her and she was like, no, those are terrible. So she very much prefers the Babysitters Club and Little Sisters graphic novel 2020s, 2010s up versions of these. This one is Stacy's Emergency. Stacy just can't win. And then I also grabbed this one for my 9-year-old daughter. This one was $2.99. But Magical Animal Adoption Agency. It's number 2, but I don't know if that matters. But The Enchanted Egg. And it's got a cat on it, and she loves cats. And it just seemed like magical, whimsical fun. It's not a graphic novel, but it does have some pictures in it. And again, if she doesn't like it, she doesn't like it, but 2015, so it's a little bit newer. They have a deal at Value Village. You buy 4 books, you get the 5th one free. And I had 4 books. I don't push myself to get 4 so I can get 5. But if I happen to find 4 that look really good, then I'm like, well, I might as well get one for free. And I happen to have 4 on me. So I decided to pick up Aragon, which was $5.99, which was one of the more expensive ones I picked up, and she gave me this one free. Not one of these, like, $1.99 ones, which is what she probably should have given me free, but I'm not going to complain. I have not read this, and I'm not exactly sure the age on this, but I know the guy was, like, 15 when he wrote it? So I decided to get it for my daughter who loves dragons and stuff. And again, it was free, so 2003, it's 20 years old already. I might just kind of look up and see like how old you should be to read this, because she's only 11, so, and it's a little bit of a thicker, bigger book, so it'd probably take a while. There might be an audiobook version of it, and she has been listening to all of the audiobooks for Wings of Fire, the novels. She reads the graphic novels we've been buying her. All the like 15 plus novels she has listened to as audiobooks on my phone, and she's been listening to the Five Nights at Freddy's books. So if this one has an audiobook, maybe she could like follow along with it. But yeah, got this one. Let me know down below if you've read these and if they're any good and what age range you think they are good for. And then I found this book. This is like one of my all-time favorite books. I can't find my copy anywhere. It's like highlighted, underlined, notes kind of thing in it. I can't find it anywhere, so I wanted to rebuy it. And I think it was $15 on Amazon or something, maybe a little bit less. So I was fully willing to pay full price for it. But I got this for $5.99, and it is The Shack by W.M., which I think is William Paul Young. And I know this had a bit of controversy when it came out. I wasn't really a part of the bookish world, like BookTube, Twitter, Instagram, anything like that. I don't even know if some of those sites, 2007, I don't even know when Instagram and stuff started, so it might not be quite that old, but I know there was some controversy with this being a Christian book and the story behind it, and God is portrayed as a black woman in this. People were upset. I don't know if they were upset about that so much. I think it was more the fact that that God was portrayed as a woman, not necessarily what the color of her skin was, just her gender was more of a controversy. And it is explained in here why God comes to him in the form of a woman. So I think it's fine. Like, that didn't bother me. I think there was a little bit of people thought this was a true story and this was a guy's actual true experience, but it's not. It is a fictional story. And I think that's where some people got upset about it. So you have to go into this knowing it is fiction. So if you don't know what this is, it's super heartbreaking. Trigger warnings for loss and death of a child, like kidnapping, murder of a child. I will just read the back really quick synopsis. Mackenzie Allen Phillips's youngest daughter, Missy, has been abducted during a family vacation, and evidence that she may have been brutally murdered is found in an abandoned shack deep in the Oregon wilderness. 4 years later, in the midst of his great sadness, Mac receives a suspicious note, apparently from God, inviting him back to that shack for a weekend. Against his better judgment, he arrives at the shack on a wintry afternoon and walks back into his darkest nightmare. What he finds there will change Mac's world forever. In a world where religion seems to grow increasingly irrelevant, the shack wrestles with the timeless question, where is God in a world so filled with unspeakable pain? So there's that, and then that was that trip to Edmonton, but the one before that I did more of the vlog of with my kids and stuff. We went to, nope, I lied. This was also from that trip. We went to Chapters as well. That was Value Village. This was Chapters. I had a card for $10 that had to be spent like there. So I picked a book and got this one. Louise Eldridge, The Sentence. I read her book, Future Home of the Living God. I read last year, which was about a near future, like dystopian kind of story. And this girl is pregnant and they are taking pregnant women and putting them into these like health spa things, and then the babies are taken away from them and never seen from again. So this woman is kind of like running away from that and trying to protect herself and her baby. And I read that in January when I was pregnant with my baby, and focused on a couple of mother pregnancy books, fictionalized books. And that one was really good. It was interesting. Not like my favorite book of all time or anything, but enough that I wanted to check out The Sentence by Louise Erdrich. The Sentence asks what we owe to the living, to the dead, to the reader, and to the book. A small independent bookstore in Minneapolis is haunted from November 2019 to November 2020 by the store's most annoying customer. Flora dies on All Souls Day, but she simply won't leave the store. Tuki, who has landed a job selling books after years of incarceration that she survived by reading with murderous attention, must solve the mystery of this haunting, while at the same time trying to understand all that occurs in Minneapolis during a year of grief, astonishment, isolation, and furious reckoning. The Sentence begins on All Souls Day 2019 and ends on All Souls Day 2020. Its mystery and proliferating ghost stories during this 1 year propel a narrative as rich, emotional, and profound as anything Louise Eldridge has written. There you go. It sounds really interesting. Maybe I'll save this one for like Halloween area. Spooky, haunted. I'm not really into like haunted stories, scary, horror kind of stories, but this one doesn't sound like horror-ish. Like it's haunted, but maybe not scary. I don't know. And then the week before that, when we went to Edmonton, I got several books. We went to Chapters again, and I told my husband, I was like, I just want like no time limit where we're rushed to get out the door now. I just want to be able to go and browse for like 3 hours if I want. Like, I don't have a ton of money to spend. I have a little bit of money saved up for this trip, but I don't have like a ton of money to go buy like 30 books. That's not what I want. I just want to walk around and sit in the aisles and look at books and see what I'm interested in. So this book I noticed at our bookstore here in town just came out as a paperback, and I've been not buying the hardback, not thinking it would come out in paperback, but just waiting until I had the money to spend on a children's book that's like $24. But it came out in paperback, and then the second book has come out in hardback. So again, I'm gonna wait to get the paperback if I like this story. And it's a middle grade, so maybe my kids will like it, but I have I'm collecting some books here. So if you watch Kayla from Books and Lala, she had like a rabbit vlog and read like 40 rabbit books or whatever it was. I have Basset Hound books that I have been collecting, and this one was just so adorable. Like, just Harriet. She's got a little orange ginger cat, and then her little Basset Hound here, and the fact that they're just like right on the cover made me want to get it. And then it shows the sequel, Harriet Spies, and the Basset Hound is still there. Anyways, it doesn't want to focus on it, but you can see that the Basset Hound is on that cover, and it's just such a pretty cover too. Like, look at the color of the flowers and stuff like that. So I don't even know what this is about. It says for ages 6 to 10, so my daughter's age, and my son too. I mean, my son could be interested in it. I'm talking about my daughters a little bit more because they read. There are a few things you should know about Harriet Wormer. She just finished 3rd grade. She has a perfect cat named Matzo Ball. She is not excited to be spending her whole summer vacation away from home. When she gets to Marble Island, however, Harriet discovers it is full of surprises and even a mystery. One Harriet is absolutely going to solve. Very cute. And then I was also just, again, walking around, looking at things, and was walking by like the general fiction area or whatever, and this caught my eye. This is a book I really have been wanting to read since everyone has had it on like their best books of 2022 list, and I wanted a physical copy of it in case I wanted to do any notes or highlighting or anything, and that is Notes on an Execution by Dania Kukafka. I have no idea how to pronounce that name, I'm so sorry. But I've heard so many good things about this and the discussions it brings up about death row. What's the word I am looking for? Anyways, the conversations it brings up about inmates on death row. And I believe this is told from the perspective of the women. In the tradition of Long Bright River and The Mars Room, both books I have not read, a gripping and atmospheric work of literary suspense that deconstructs the story of a serial killer on death row, told primarily through the eyes of the women in his life, from the best-selling author of Girl in Snow. So yeah. Excited to dive into this one and see what I think about it, since so many people loved this one last year. And then I got 2 more books from Goodwill. I actually got a couple of kids books from Goodwill as well. I got one of the hardback books for Captain Underpants, and Goodwill just prices their books like hardcover's $2, softcover is $1, kids books are like 50 cents, whatever it is. So I got a Captain Underpants book because my son really likes the Cat Kid Comic Club books and the Dogman books. And we have listened to some of the Captain Underpants as audiobooks, which are really fun if you have kids. I would highly recommend them. And they like the Captain Underpants like TV show and movie and stuff. So I got him one of those, and then I got like a Canada trivia one because the girls are into that kind of stuff. And then I found the Diana Wynne Jones House of Many Ways, which is the magical sequel to Howl's Moving Castle. So I read Howl's Moving Castle a couple years ago. I have that book as, I believe, a softcover, and this one, of course, is hardcover, but it was $2. So I picked up this one, and I just love the colors of this book. And I thought Howl's Moving Castle was a fine book, and the movie is very fun and magical and whimsical and stuff as well. And it's definitely a beloved series, so I am interested in checking this one out as well. And then my big surprising find that I found last time we were in Edmonton in like October. I saw this book on the shelves at Chapters, and I was like, I'm so interested in this, but it's $40, I think. $39.95. And I'm not saying it's not worth that money. This is a graphic novel. It's huge. It's totally worth that money, but I don't have that kind of money to spend on this one book. So I looked, and it was available at the library. So I put a hold on it a few weeks ago. I don't know if it was like at the beginning of the new year or what, but I knew it was going to be a bit of a wait, and I was like, whatever, I'm not in any rush to read this book. And then I was walking by at Goodwill and saw it, and it's in good condition for $2 because it is a hardback. So I picked up Ducks, and this is 2 Years in the Oil Sands by Kate Beaton, and she is from, this is a Canadian book. I don't like the feeling of the cover. It's got this weird texture to it, and it's like, well, but she is from Cape Breton. Kate Beaton from Cape Breton, and she came to live in the oil sands for 2 years, I guess. It's a memoir about working in the oil sands of Alberta, and there was this incident a couple years ago where a bunch of like ducks died here in the tailings ponds. Fort Mac does a lot to like try and prevent that stuff, but you know, things happen. And this is her memoir. A lot of people from the East Coast can't make money there. The economy just isn't supporting them, and so they come to the West and they work in the oil sands and make money and send it back home, kind of thing. So that's very, very, very common here. A lot, they joke that the capital of Newfoundland is Fort McMurray, and I've never been to Newfoundland. I have not really been east. I've been to Toronto and I've been to Quebec, but that is pretty much it. I have not been to anything like PEI, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, none of those things. So I just know like the Alberta side of things and working and living in an oil sands area. But I am really curious to read this graphic novel. It takes place in Alberta. It takes place where I live. It takes place by a Canadian author, all that stuff. So I'm really, really excited about it. It's all in black and white. This is like the front, like the front and back. Some of the different artwork and stuff. And it's also a story of like a woman working in a male-dominated society. And I am so excited to get into this. It is, like I said, it is very thick. So $2. I had to get it. And then the library's like, your hold for ducks just came in. And I'm like, I need to cancel that. But anyways, it was a good shopping trip. It was a good time spent with family and friends. And I'm glad that we were able to go down and we got our van fixed. Hallelujah. And it was a good shopping, good book buying discovery time. So very excited about all of that. Comment down below if you read graphic novels and what is one of the best finds you have had at used bookstore, thrift store, things like that. And this one and the Red Dragon one were definitely surprises for me. The Red Dragon one was just more of a coincidence of when it came about after watching that video. And yeah, you can't beat $2 for this $40 book. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!